Hello Exiles, this is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and welcome to another Path of Exile video. Today's video I'm going to talk about fast leveling method I have, and I'm going to have my first level 100 here in a second. Just finishing up. I should be less than 1 million experience away, so should be able to get it within one of these last two abysses that I have currently. I don't currently have, there you go, dinged level 100. So I got the achievement, and the nice thing about this, I'm just going to finish up this abyss, and then I will go talk about the strategy first, because that may be the main reason you clicked, and then I will go over all of the stuff about my character. Oops, I accidentally set off the other one here. This one is going a long ways. There you go. Alright, just finish this up. Shouldn't take too long here. And I think this is the last, and I'll just leave the last one go. Alright, so let's get back here and go over my character. So I guess I'll just put this in here for now. There you go. Okay, so this is my first ever level 100. For those who don't know, I am very much a altaholic, as I've called myself. Usually I'll hit right around level 98 and then I'll just move on to another character, consider the character done. But in this case, I was having a lot of fun messing around with different combinations of idols, and before I knew it, I was like 30%-ish into level 100 from level 99. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put together a leveling strategy and go that way. Now, I mostly used idols that I had self-found, but I did buy one for 6 Divine, which was this one here, which had, I think it was this one, 10% increased monsters for each prior pit in the abyss, and abysses in the map that do not lead to abyssal depths lead to 4 pits if able. This is basically going to mean that by time we get to the final pit, you get 40% increased monsters from the abyss, and it'll always lead to 4 pits unless it leads to an abyssal depths, which it's like a 5% chance, I think, at a baseline, give or take. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but the rest are just idols I had. The first one that I found, which I thought was pretty nice, was this one. It just gives me a 60% chance to contain an abyss, and then 16% chance, which it can roll up to 20, for a 5 additional rare monsters for abyss pits. This seems to be quite good. Rare monsters are a decent source of experience and a good source of loot as well. I just found Valdos, for instance. On the last one, I found a couple Valdos, a Raw Divine, some decent conversion stuff, like a decent amount of fractured items, for instance. But optimally, you would have 4 of the abysses in your maps spawn increased monsters for each prior pit at 10%. For a total of 40% on each, which is 160% increased monsters by the last one. And then you would also have at least one that has abysses in your map do not lead to an abyssal depths, or the 4 pits one. And there's also one that makes it so your abysses on the other 3, you can get, I think, up to 20% chance for them to be magic monsters. So you could get 60% as a baseline, and then have a couple that are like this, which make it so abyss cracks in your map have 5% chance to spawn all monsters as magic for each prior pit. If you had 2 of these, or yeah, 2 of these with 3 of the 20% of the magic ones on the big ones, along with the other modifier, you could get 100% chance for the last crack to be all magic monsters, and then you could also get 160% monsters on those. So really big there. So important things are things like that. And other than that, I have a lot of abyss monsters in your maps grant increased experience. I have that on pretty much as many as I can. And then I have beyond, I think at either 100% or close to 100%. So I got beyond on a couple of things, like 57% chance for maps to attract beyond demons. I have, this is just increased scarabs and a little bit of increased abyss chance. More experience. This one is just spawns increased monsters and beyond. The other really good one you can have if you've kind of min-maxed things a lot better is the 10% chance for abysses to spawn 100% increased monsters. You can get a bunch of those. If you can get those in combination with the abyss monsters on your map have increased experience, and then combine your abyss cracks and your maps have a 5% chance spawn all monsters as magic for each prior pit, along with either experience or that mod as well, then you can push this strategy a lot farther. You can see my experience per hour from level 99 to 100. This is pretty typical, but it was 51,643,000. With that, takes roughly 7 hours, I think, a little less than 7 hours from the start of 99. I think you could probably about double this with the perfect idle setup, maybe more. And if you're running maps that are appropriate to your level, for instance, if you're in a tier 16 on a level 83 character or up to like level 86, you can get 1 billion experience per hour with my current setup, and probably like 2 billion experience an hour. Obviously, that would go down pretty quickly, simply because you would be leveling so fast that you would start to incur the penalty for being higher level than the content, but that would take a while. And then my strategy for scarabs is simply 2 abyss scarabs, 2 abyss scarabs of multitudes, and scarab of monstrous lineage. This and these would scale a lot better with the aforementioned pretty much guarantee to have all monster packs be magic would be great. That would drastically increase the experience. And then, of course, you want to put Abyss on your map device for 4 Chaos. Really nice. It was really comfortable. And I highly recommend if you do want to get level 100, you do this. It's very safe. You can do it elk and go. You can push it further by running, for instance, 8 mod maps. But if you don't want to do that, simply elk and go. You could probably even do it in white maps. I tried it on white maps with my idle setup, and I was still getting right around 40 million. And by white, I mean unrolled, so just a completely blank map. I was still getting close to 40 million experience per hour, give or take. So even that, just you get so many raw monsters from the setup. The pack size, of course, is going to help, but it'll be really good. I also ran this, I'm currently running it on Jungle Valley, but I was running it a little bit on Toxic Sewer as well. And the nice thing about running it on Toxic Sewer is that sometimes the Abyss cracks, the starting ones, will spawn in the same area, and they'll often go along the same line. However, sometimes they don't, and if they're not forced along the same line, you might miss like half or 2/3 or 3/4 of 1 or 2 abysses per map, so it's a little wasteful. But if they do all get funneled down the same area, sometimes you can do 2 to 4 abysses all at once, and they all kind of go along with each other. And if you do that, that'll quadruple your experience per hour. However, it's not going to be very consistent. So, and then once you do all of the abysses, you simply leave the map and do the rest, and occasionally you'll do the boss. Searing Exarch I'm doing because they spawn faster, and pretty much I just grab whatever as far as altars. Usually I try for like currency duplication if I see it, scarab duplication of course, chaos orbs, quantity, rarity, anything like that is fine. If you're not rolling the map super hard, you're focused a lot less on the loot, a lot more on the monsters, and none of the altars are going to help with the monsters anyway. So that is the strategy. It was really fun, really easy. I could, mostly look away. The only dangerous part is occasionally you'll have a huge abyss, and like on the other side of it or something, there will be a soul eater who ends up eating like, 100 monsters plus. I had one instance where a crit resistant, shock resistant rare monster with life leech showed up and soul eater. and it took me longer to kill the monster because I thought it was annoying. I wanted to get rid of it. It didn't have any dangerous offensive mods other than Soul Eater, so it attacked really fast. But it took me longer to kill than it took me to do the rest of the map combined. It took like 2 minutes to kill it. So yeah, that can happen as well. And if you're squishier than I am, then it's possible you'll die to a random Soul Eater. I think it'd have to be a pretty bad combination, like really, really bad combination for a Soul Eater to kill me. And I just don't think it'll happen in a regular Elk and Go map as long as I'm not running like minus res or something like that, especially because I'm not scaling map effect very much. I literally just have this one here that gives me 3% effect per 5% map quality. So I get 12% explicit effect is all. So really not gonna make the maps much more dangerous. And it just happened to be on here on this map that had 2 other mods that I want, the Attract Beyond Demons and the Increase Monsters per Pit. So that is that. Let's go over to the final character. First of all, got all of my MTX on this character, including my cool cape, where if I walk around for a while, I will surf, which is very thematic for my Surfcaster. Got my nice little crown froggy boys, got a whole blue setup here. I got really old MTX setup. So this is the Cerulean Seraph set, which is probably like 8+ years old, I would say. I don't remember, but it was when they still had separate rewards for hardcore and softcore, and you got a red set, which I have a couple of pieces of I didn't get the full set for hardcore, and you got the blue set for softcore. And so got that, really old, but nice and thematic with Surfcaster. Also got my cool horns and cape, so nice little setup here. Delirium horns, got some Essence footprint effects, Arch Nemesis ice character effect, and my purple lightning weapon effect. And then royal blue and royal red frogs, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so that's the setup here. For my MTX, which I normally don't talk about. I normally don't care about aesthetics, but since this is my first level 100, I wanted to get all dressed up. The character itself, currently 47, 15 life. I forgot to, hang on, let me go ahead. I was trying to get steel skin. I was running other defensive, oh, there you go, 21 steel skin. That's what I was looking for, boy. So I don't know what that'll put my EHP up at, but I have about 50%, a little over 50% maybe. No, right around 50% or just under uptime for steel skin, giving me a huge health buffer. And then I also have, without any flasks, 3853 armor and 1 under 1800 for my evasion. With flasks up, I have 23,765 evasion and 5857 armor, and flasks are up most of the time while mapping, unless I get like reduced flasks. I've dropped down because my evasion got so much higher because I dropped Herald of Thunder in favor of Grace. So now that I'm running Grace, and I did that mostly because I didn't want to risk dying. Speaking of, total deaths 62, about a third of those were in day 1 to 3 when I was figuring things out. A lot of the other ones were from really nasty pushed maps or from, bosses doing some bossing. Like, I did not do Searing Exarch Deathless. I can now because I can kill it before it can do anything. But the first few times I did Searing Exarch, I pretty much die in the ball phase every time. So, a little unfortunate there. I'm very bad at that. As far as kills, let's see, we got a little over 1.5 million kills, almost 1.6 million kills actually. And then we have played, this will be pretty high because I spend a lot of time AFK, 6 days, 10 hours, 39 minutes. Most of that wasn't focused on leveling either. Most of it was just trying to figure out different strategies to run. But it's pretty nice. I haven't really played a character this long consecutively before. It's been like 17-ish days, I think, since the league started. So this is the longest I've ever played one character. I I think part of that is because I started playing POE 2 and ended up really liking my Invoker and played a ton of that and got used to just sticking on one character instead of making new ones all the time. I will be making a new character. It'll be a Blind Prophet Molten Strike build because, you know, Blind Prophet has a bunch of beneficial things for Molten Strike, and Molten Strike's one of the highest DPSs. I'll be using a nice little claw here. Replica nail Last Resort. Picked this up for 1 divine. So with the enchantment on it, the 4 to 61 lightning damage, pretty good. You know, you miss some life gain on hit, but I'm gonna run leech and stuff anyway. By the way, I think I mentioned this, but maybe not. All of these were self-found idols except this one, which was 6 divine. So total budget was basically 6 divine, but maybe for the rest of this whole leveling setup might be like 8 to 10 tops. Should be pretty cheap. Nothing expensive. If you want to get a kind of scuffed one like me, it should barely be over 6 divine. If you want to go even more budget and get like basically 80% of the power, you could probably do it for less than a divine, really, because I don't have like good combinations of mods on almost anything. So should be cheap. You can just pick it up from people's dump tabs. Character gear. Actually, let's go over the skill tree first. So this is my Lethal Pride I've had since basically my last update. It's just got a couple of double damage. I have respected the tree very drastically in order to drop spell suppression from my boots to get instinct. I also am currently running Impossible Escape to get over here, so that it was mainly to get rage, but I also get As the Mountain, which is incredibly valuable, and Lava Lash, which is pretty good and does a couple of things. It makes Trinity easier to uptime because it makes my fire penetration 8% higher than the rest of my penetration, which I get from a combination of Forces of Nature for 10% and Trinity, which ends up being, 16%? So 26% for all elements, and then an additional 8%, so almost right around 30% more penetration for the fire. Makes it so that I do a little bit higher fire damage, so it's easy to keep Trinity up, especially considering I do so much lightning damage that I have a highly variable damage range, which makes Trinity easy. I have this cluster jewel as well, so while we're going over jewels, I've actually dropped my block cluster in favor for another DPS cluster once my evasion got past like 15k, and 60% block is enough, especially I have like Wind Dancer and stuff too, which can pump up my evasion quite a bit, or my chance to evade rather, if we do get hit. So I decided to go with Martial Prowess, Fuel the Fight, Calamitous. So really nice there. Medium cluster here, Swift Afflict or Astonishing Affliction and Storm Rider. Astonishing Affliction is fantastic. I always like to have at least 2 Astonishing Afflictions overall on my build, and Storm Rider, of course, for power charge generation. Then I have the second one, which has Astonishing Affliction and Eye of the Storm. Eye of the Storm is quite good. I think actually allocating this would put me at 100% crit chance. I think I'm at like 98%, so I could get rid of this Reservation Mastery, throw in Eye of the Storm, or I could move this Reservation Mastery to Aura Effect as well to get a little bit more evasion from Grace and a little bit more damage from Wrath. Neither of which I got level 21s of at any point, nor did I get a level 21 Herald of Ice. Got a little lazy about upgrading all of my gems and stuff. I did manage to get level 21 Ice Bite, but I guess I'll go over that when I go over the links. But other than that, all the big stuff is here. Of course, like a lot of good claw nodes. Got Claws of the Falcon, got these Claws of the Magpie and Hawk type thing. Of course, have the From the Shadow and the Dagger Mastery to really push Nightblade. Then we have the hits have a 25% chance to treat enemy monster elemental resistance as inverted, which combines perfectly with penetration, which we of course have from Trinity and here, and as well with Lava Lash. Basically what that means is if you're fighting like a boss, and let's say the boss has 40% resist, That means 75% of the time I'll be penetrating 26% and hitting them as if 14% and 8% more with the fire as well. And then another 25% of the time, occasionally, they will go to -40, and then I'll be hitting them as if they have -66 and -74, respectively, resistance, which is really, really crazy. That's at that point, you're doing many times the damage, almost 4 times the damage. So it's, since you're doing roughly 4 times the damage of what it would be baseline, a quarter of the time, and even probably still about 3 times or so as much damage as if you just had regular penetration, you can almost see it as like a 60 to 100% more damage multiplier with this. It doesn't actually work out that way, especially considering it's like a quarter of the time. I think it, if you put it into POB, it's something like a 15% DPS upgrade, but it's pretty big. It's huge. The combination is great. I've talked about Wind Dancer in the past a lot. Wind Dancer is quite important. Once you reach about 12k evasion and about 50 or probably 45-50% block, if you're above those thresholds, you can take Wind Dancer and it'll start being a very significant defensive boost. I think it's something like 12 or 13% more effective HP for me. So what this does, if you haven't read through it before, is you have 20% less attack damage taken if you haven't been hit by an attack recently, and then you have 10% more chance to evade attacks if you have been hit by an attack recently, and then you take 20% more attack damage if you've been hit by an attack recently. Recently is in 4 seconds. Between freezes and the combination of evasion and block, the chances of you being hit twice by an attack in a 4-second window are basically 0. So this is just another 20% less damage taken multiplier that you combine with your 20% less from Fortify. And then of course, for physical attacks, you have like your additional physical damage reduction. I also currently have a endurance charge. You can get 2 more on jewelry if you want, because I've anointed Disciple of the Unyielding rather than my other 2 choices, which would have been either Testudo or Deflection. I was evading so much that Deflection wasn't generating me endurance charges very frequently, and I find that the chance to gain endurance charge on kill is much more reliable for giving me endurance charges, especially doing heavily dense content such as Abyss, but pretty much most of the stuff you're going to be doing endgame. So that is kind of important there. And other than that, I have my other jewels. I still have the same Corrupted Blood immunity jewel that I got on day 2. It's literally the only thing that's really beneficial. Oh no, this is a different one. I did buy a new one. Gives me some more beneficial. What I really needed was the All Resist at the time. A little less so now. I have experimented both with Brinebound and Changing Seasons for my Ascendancy. The mandatory ones are going to be Ghost of the Deep, Stormy Seas, Glacial Wave. The 4th one, you can, dealer's choice. All of them feel good in their own way. Brinebound for permafreezes feels fantastic. Once you get a certain level of DPS though, I do think that it's not really necessary because you're still permafreezing most things and you kill things so fast that it doesn't matter. The only things this is going to matter on is like heavy delirious maps, like maybe you're doing Simulacrum, where monsters that you can only freeze if you get like a double damage high roll crit type thing, that it might make a difference on, because then you'll get longer freezes and they'll spend a more percentage amount of time frozen. But against pretty much anything else, it's not necessary once you hit a certain level of DPS. This might have been a really nice one to start in if Sea Legs wasn't also very good for capping my crit and resistances early as well. And then there's Changing Seasons. This is great for running blue altars because you get enemies drop Chilled Crown when they die, as well as ailments you inflict on enemies are inflicted back on you or reflected back on you. So you can get this as well, and if you're running blue altars, and it speeds up mapping a ton because those are pretty common altars. So yeah, overall, I would say. And also the blue mobs drop chilled ground often when they die as well, the Eater of Worlds influence mobs. So that will also give you a bunch of boosts there. And there's also the chilled ground map mod. So all of those things make it so if you're running Eater, even without anything special, like there are special ways you can self-chill, but this is still very good for mapping Eater of Worlds. But I think Sea Legs is probably just the best overall, gives a lot of evasion, makes it very easy to cap crit chance. And yeah. Then this jewel, same one I've had for a while, freeze duration, life, and double crit multi, very, very strong jewel. Something like this is always going to be powerful, highly recommend. And yeah, nothing other than that too special, I would say. Okay. So that is the tree. Of course, always linked to POB in the description. Let's go over the links and then the gear. So I, of course, have Frost Blades, level 21, Multi-Strike 2120. If you can afford Awakened, that's fine. There have been times this league I could afford it. I would rather get other things, mostly idols. I've been spending 2/3 of the currency I've been making on idols half the time, partially because I don't stick to one strategy too long and just end up stashing stuff I'm not using, but that's okay. 2020 Trinity, I probably could reasonably cheaply buy a 2120, but haven't. Ice Bite, I think it was like 1 divine for a 2120, maybe 100 C or something, I don't really remember. Nightblade, corrupted this one myself. Got 23%, which is literally just 3% more crit chance. I think 21 would give me more multi, which would be better. And then Inspiration, which I don't really need Inspiration anymore. Mana costs 13. I have the minus to cost here. Without it, it goes to 19, which I should be able to sustain just fine. But it makes it a little bit easier to run like non-leech maps with my just on hit. So I get like the 2 mana on hit here and then the 2 mana on hit here. So no leech maps and no leech mods are a little bit easier with this. I don't ever run the risk of running out of mana and slowing myself down. It also helps me sustain my prismatic tincture for longer, which is nice. And then we have Enlighten level 3. I found the Enlighten myself and then I leveled it to 3. Then corrupted it, it got downgraded to level 2, had to level it to 3 again. Was hoping for a 4, because if I have a 4, which I could just buy one of those as well, don't know how much they are, or an Awakened Enlighten, but if I do, I can get rid of this Mana Mastery here and these 3 points and put them somewhere else, which would be fantastic. So lots of min-maxing still to do on this build, but I'm moving on to another character, so maybe later, or maybe not. And then, so yeah, Wrath, Herald of Ice, Grace on Enlighten, and then additionally I have Tempest Shield on top of that for all of that. Then I have Frost Blink 2020, Bone Chill, not really too much of a point in qualitying that, so it's just level 20. Got Whirling Blades, which I down qualityed with the corruption, should probably just get a 2020 or a 2120 on that. Got a 2020 faster attacks. Momentum would be ideal. In fact, I should really recolor this to get rid of Fortify. I haven't needed this in a very long time, and I could be moving faster if I have momentum, which would mean mapping faster, faster experience. So I kind of kneecapped myself a little bit there just by being a little lazy on doing things. Tempest Shield, you don't really need to get the increased chance to shock enemies anyway. We shock very easily with just attacking, so the Tempest Shield shock won't do anything. May as well try to hit 21 on it though, while I'm here. Bam, nope, no dice, okay. And then Life Tap, you can keep it low level. Assassin's Mark, would like a 2120 of that. It's just a tiny bit more multi is all it would give us, so not too great. Mark on hit, same thing here. You'd get, I think, maybe 1% increased effect getting a 2120 on this, so very minor boost there. Got Automation with Steel Skin, just hit 2120 here. More duration, haven't finished qualitying this yet. Could do so at whatever time. And then, yeah, that's the gem links. Let's go over the gear. I bought this claw, got a really good deal. Most similar claws were actually like 40 to 80 divines. I got this for 16 divine. Rather than the hits can't be evaded on it, though, it had crafted, first of all, it had a much lower enchantment crafted on it. It had like the tier 1 one. So I think DPS wise, maybe the person slightly mispriced it because they didn't have the highest enchant on it possible. So 16 divine with the fire. I just switched the fire to hits can't be evaded instead. And then I put the highest lightning craft on it. It's got tier 1 lightning. It's got tier 1 cold. It's got tier 1 attack speed and tier 1 crit chance and max on both of them. Fire resist obviously would prefer it to be multi, but truly extremely good claw. You can't reasonably get a better one than this for less than probably 50 divines most of the time, unless people are really starting to recombinate like crazy now, then maybe the price will go down a little bit. But yeah, this was a great bargain. I still never just changed my heat shiver. I could have bought a good corrupt heat shiver. I found 4 or 5 and just haven't gotten good corruptions on any of them. So just running a good old standard run-of-the-mill heat shiver, lots of room for improvement there. Could get another power charge, which would alleviate some crit chance. Then I'd be 100% even easier. Could get life, of course, make myself a little tankier. Lots of things I could get on this. The best one, of course, would be the reduced mana reservation efficiency one. Then I can move these to my helmet, and that would also save me 3 points. That'd be fantastic. But unfortunately, don't have that. This is a Conquest Lamellar that I made by fossil spamming. Literally, all I did was I just did dense fossils with Prime Chaotic Resonator, and then I think I had all of this except for, of course, the crafted mod on it. So tier 1 for the increased armor evasion, the hybrid stun block recovery armor and evasion, and the flat. And so over 3,400 armor and evasion, which is really nice. Ideally on a suffix, rather than maybe like the dexterity, for instance, I would get physical damage reduction would be ideal, but that allows me to take the life mastery here, 15% increased maximum life if there are no life modifiers on equipped body armor, which is giving me a very significant amount. 4389 life brings me all the way up to 4715, so close to 350 life just from that one mod. And yeah, just gives me a very high baseline armor and evasion, so really great there. Amulet, went back to my old amulet because I wanted a little extra rarity. I have a slightly better amulet, I would say, somewhere. I don't know exactly where I would have put it, but yeah, regardless, is it this guy? Yeah, this, I have a triple damage one with Testudo on here. It's got crit chance. I was looking for a high strength triple damage crit multi one, couldn't find one, so this is the one I was using for a little while. But I also kind of wanted rarity to get some extra gold. Gold farming isn't so great with this strategy, especially because I'm just Alkin going and not really juicing the maps. Just wanted to make sure I got a safe level 100. So that's pretty much going to be that. Shield got block, 43% block chance, very good. Top roll of tier 2. I got a tier 1 life roll, very high roll there. Got the percent chance to block spell, only tier 4. Got the physical damage reduction, and then some fire resist and regen. Pretty good. I think this was like a 2 divine shield. Very strong for that. Has pretty much everything that I want, more or less. Rings, high life, high resist, high damage. Yep, chaos resist. Lots of chaos resist. Rings are doing heavy lifting on the chaos resist. And then belt also. So pretty much all of my chaos resist is coming from my jewelry, which is fine. I do have 75%, of course, and I'm LE weakness capped on the rest of my resists. And also, to give me a little extra crit chance, I have some extra LE resist on one of my flasks. So nice stuff there. Yeah, so just damage. I needed some int. I don't really need the int anymore, so I could probably get a better ring than this. But yeah, and of course I got this as an iron ring from a ship or from a shipment. So I just harvest crafted a synthesis implicit on it and got cold damage, which is, pretty decent. I didn't want to keep re-rolling it. I was maybe thinking about going for a 2 or 3, but I don't think this is a great enough. Like, it's got low lightning damage roll. Mana isn't super necessary anyway. Int rolls relatively low. I didn't think this was worth wasting a bunch of harvest juice to try to get like a triple synth implicit on. So I just put the one on there and was pretty happy with it. Gloves. Got some fizz damage to lightning convert. Fizz or lightning or cold, either one works because Surfcaster, they're basically the same. Just put this on there in order to allow me to run physical reflect maps. My damage was high enough to where even my 40% unconverted physical damage from the baseline of the combination of the claw and this ring were enough to really mess me up in maps. So I decided to convert some of it. Now I run Fizz Reflect just fine. Still can't run Ellie Reflect. All I would have to do would get awakened Ellie damage with attacks, and then I could run Ellie Reflect as well. So that's an option. Spell Suppress, lightning damage, attack speed, life, regen, rarity. Pretty solid. Can't really complain about these gloves. And of course, the other one is the non-vol strike skills, target one additional nearby enemy. Pretty much mandatory on the build because it allows you to spec out of these points. So that literally saves 5 points. So end game, you're going to want this because those points aren't super efficient. For 5 points, you're basically getting the strike, which you can get on gloves, and then 12% attack speed, which I'm also getting on the gloves. So 2 mods on this equipment makes up for 5 points. Which are better spent on like a cluster jewel or something. Belt, Chaos Resist. I think this is the same belt as I had. Chaos Resist, High Life, Armor and Evasion. Can probably do better, some Lightning Res. Then I have Bubonic Trail, of course. Pretty well rolled one. I did not self-farm this, unfortunately, so it's a 23%. I think I got this for maybe like 80 Chaos or maybe a Divine, but it's got decent rolls. I'd like some more movement speed, but as Surfcaster, I basically get 30% bonus move speed all the time anyway. So a suboptimal is fine. I'm still faster than most characters. The reduced duration's good. Of course, you combine that with the Soul of Aberrath to make most ignites literally not high enough duration to even work on you. They literally get discarded after a certain point. So if you have a decent amount of reduced duration of elemental ailments on your boots, and then you have freeze immune, which we get from Soul of the Brine King, and we have shock immune from Tempest Shield. So the only elemental ailments that are really an issue potentially would be like Scorch, but even that has the half duration. So, and since we don't get hit often, even the Scorch altars, we're rarely going to be scorched for more than like 1 or 2 seconds, and we're probably not getting hit again within that time frame. So the Scorch isn't going to do much to us. So Bubonic Trails are fantastic. They also allow me to run Tech Rod's Gaze, which is currently providing me with a grand total of 160% crit chance, so basically a little better than 3 power charges. Fantastic. And then I have this jewel, which I bought for like 1 divine. I just looked for like I needed lightning resist really bad at the time when I was fixing it, so I looked for any life and lightning resist jewel that had some damage on it. Got this nice one here, which has some lightning and fire damage. The chaos damage doesn't really scale that well, but I guess it's a little bonus damage, so that's why I have so many damage lines on here. Not going to contribute much, but yeah, you can get way better 5 and 6 mod jewels this league pretty easily. Well, any league really, but even easier this league, I would say, because of some of the idle combinations. And I have a crit multi, double lightning damage jewel with regen here. Got tier 1 crit multi max roll, got tier 3 lightning damage with claws, and tier 4 lightning damage, so could still upgrade this quite a bit. Tier 1 regen, doesn't value that very high. I think it was pretty cheap though. Then I have this added cold damage tier 4 and added lightning damage tier 3 Murderous Eye Jewel, which gives me magic, which allows me the movement speed. So you got your rare, you got your unique, and you got your magic abyss jewels. That gives you all the bonuses of Bubonic Trail, plus get a bunch of bonus damage. And there's a lot of room for improvement on pretty much all of my jewels. I could look for a good corruption on Tekrod's Gaze as well. Like, for instance, I could get Corrupted Blood on that, which would be very expensive, but that would allow me to get a very high DPS jewel in this slot instead. Another big optimization I could make would be the Impossible Escape could be another DPS jewel, and I could drop out of this. If I just got a similar like amount of double damage, like I have 2 double damage rolls on here, right here and right here. I also have one right here, but I don't think it's worth it for 3 points. Maybe if I was able to, or maybe if I dropped some crit chance and wasn't capped, the crit chance alone would be worth getting along with the double damage, but otherwise it's not really worth it. But yeah, if I could get rage on hit on that in this area, I don't want it down here because I want Wind Dancer. Normally I don't mind before I go into Wind Dancer having my my Lethal Pride down here, but it does kind of lock you in if you get too good of a Lethal Pride in this area from getting Wind Dancer later, which is a huge defensive boon. And then I would lose as the Mount and Lava Lash, but I would gain 3 points and a really good jewel. I could use that jewel to get some extra block chance, along with like 3 damage mods, which would make up for the Lava Lash as well. And then I could spend the remaining 3 points to, you know, get some good stuff there. So yeah, very, very nice setup as far as that. And I think that covers all. I guess I'll go over the all of this. I still have bleed immune on my flask. I don't think it's necessary. I don't really get bothered with mechs, chaos res. You don't get bothered by poison very often, so poison immune isn't really doing much. I guess I could just go for like a very high recovery flask potentially. I do have better quality divine flasks now that are higher item level, so I could go for just a really high tier one. I don't need to use it that often though, so min-maxing my flask isn't super important. Then I'm currently using a gold flask. If you're not using this, you can use a flask to give you more evasion. You can use a Stibnite flask for damage, anything like that. I have stun and block recovery, which I have tons of all over the place, along with on all 3 of my flasks the chance to gain a flash charge when you deal a crit strike to keep them kind of topped off. Then I don't have increased evasion on any of my flasks. I could roll that on something, for instance, but the gold flask just helps get more gold. And of course, you know, more drops other than that, but gold is specifically why. And then this one, just giving some flat evasion, get the more evasion as well on a different one, and possibly put the percent evasion roll on that, and I could probably get like 30k plus evasion pretty easily, possibly like 35, 40k. Then this one with the armor on the onslaught, really nice as well. I am not actually running a movement speed flask, don't really need it, but I could just run that over my life flask. I don't need the life flask, honestly, especially now that I'm level 100. I should probably just go ahead and, I don't remember where I have my flasks, but yeah, I should probably just go ahead and throw like a Quicksilver in here somewhere. Yeah, could craft one of these. Higher item level one apparently, or preferably. Yeah, I could craft something like this. This one actually gives evasion as well, although, yeah, I don't have charges when you get hit. This is probably really good for some build, not for my build, and it's over max. Boy, yeah, this is a great roll. Just, I don't get hit often enough to take advantage of the 3 charges when you hit. I guess blocks technically count as hits, but still, yeah, maybe I'll give it a try. Yeah, I'll throw this on instead of a life flask for whenever I'm playing this character from now on. I'll craft it later. Actually, do it right now. Just do so when charges reach full, boom. Okay, there. Now I'll have even more movement speed. Be quicker. Shouldn't be a problem. Bleeds don't usually bother me. Okay. Usually. And oh, lastly, the prismatic tincture. I have a really nice one here with tier 1 almost max roll melee weapon crit multi. I'd prefer attack speed, but I'm pretty happy with this. Then I have the 35% increased effect, and I have a max roll on the implicit as well. So it's only tier 3 for the increased max effect, but the mana burn rate goes up quite a bit. And usually I only need it very briefly, and if I'm continuously attacking something, it stays up. Generally, I'd prefer attack speed, but I'm actually a little low because of my jewel situation on crit multi. I think with everything up, I have like 600 to 700 crit multi. I'd prefer like 800 to 1000. But so this, no, without this, I have less than that, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think I only have like somewhere in between 550 and 600. And I could get, you know, a couple more jewels with a bunch more crit multi if I optimize things, get at least 100 more crit multi. So this is helpful because of that, and my attack speed's already really good, and it's even better when I'm doing the changing seasons. Lastly, actually, I kind of went over the Pantheon already. I don't get Capture Glace on Soul of the Brine King because if I do want to run the reverse chill, but I have the stun block recovery and avoid being frozen, and then of course you get the main, can't be stunned if you've been stunned or blocked. A stunning hit the past 2 seconds. We have high block chance, so that's going to be all the time almost. 60% block chance, 34% spell block. Of course we have 100% chance to suppress spells at 53 with all of that. So defensively, looking super solid there. And then yeah, unaffected by burning ground, and movement speed while on burning ground. If you're running the red altars, the Searing Exarch, fantastic. Long video, but I just wanted to go over everything. This will be my final update. Hope you enjoyed. This has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I'll see you next time. Bye.